A very special guest, Steve.
Andrew, thanks very much. We're joined by the Treasury Secretary, Timothy Geithner, on his way to Mexico for the G20 meeting. But before you head there are some issues here domestically. Mr. Secretary, thanks for joining us.
Good to see you, Steve.
Let's talk about oil prices. They've shot up recently, over $8 a barrel, now 100. It was 108 last we checked. How much risk do higher oil prices and higher gasoline prices pose to the economic recovery?
I think what's happening in global oil markets now is you're seeing two things work to push prices higher. The first is that growth is gradually getting stronger, not just in the United States, but around the world, at least outside of Europe. And that's making people more confident in the expansion, and that's helping push prices higher. But also, Iran's doing some saber rattling, and that's causing a little uncertainty in that context. Those are the two main factors. There's no quick fix to this, no short-term fix to this. The best strategy for the country is to continue to make some long-term investments to expand production in the United States, to reduce our dependence on foreign oil, to encourage Americans to use more efficient, cleaner sources of energy, to encourage Americans to be more efficient in how they use energy. Those are the things over time we need to do, and we're making some progress in that direction. The other thing we can do is to try to make sure we're doing everything we can to lighten the burden on working families in the country. The payroll tax extension is very important in that context, because even when gas prices are caused by stronger growth, which is part of what's happening, people really do feel it. So very important that Congress continue to look for ways to do things that will help make the economy stronger overall and help lighten the burden on middle-class families, like through the payroll tax extension.
But does it threaten the recovery?
Well, again, when oil prices are getting stronger, partly because of stronger growth, they're more a reflection of growth. But obviously, Iran can do a lot of damage to the global economy. And we're working very carefully to try to minimize that risk, make sure there are alternative sources of supply from Saudi Arabia and others that help compensate for reduced export for Iran. That's an important part of our strategy.
Are we at or near a point where the government, the U.S. government, should get involved in helping to lower oil prices, for example, through release of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve?
Well, again, there's a case for the use of the reserve in some circumstances, and we'll continue to look at those and evaluate that carefully. But again, the right thing for the country is to make sure we are focused on long-term investments in energy, changes in energy policy to help solve these long-term problems. You can't view this as a problem that can be solved with short-term fixes.
Is there a danger that the policy we're pursuing with Iran is one that will end up costing us more than perhaps it's worth?
I don't think so, because again, what's at stake for not just the United States, but for the entire region of the global economy is a terrible risk that if Iran is successful in its nuclear ambitions, the world and oil markets and the global economy and stability in the region would be in jeopardy in that context. And that's why we're making so much progress working with countries around the world, not just Europe and Japan, but China, India, countries everywhere, to try to substantially increase the pressure on Iran so we can deter them from their nuclear ambitions.
One more energy question, Mr. Secretary. The Wall Street Journal has an editorial this morning saying that one of the reasons why we're having this problem with energy prices is that the Obama administration has been behind almost every average when it comes to permitting, when it comes to approving new exploration and drilling in the Gulf of Mexico.
No credible argument to support that, again, in my judgment. As everybody can acknowledge, and the facts show this, there's been a very substantial increase in exploration production in the United States during these last 3 years. Lots of things that contribute to that, but it's getting better, not worse, and that's a good thing for the long run. Of course, you see, profitability in the energy sector very, very high, investment in energy in the United States very, very strong, and those are fundamentally good things for us over the long run.